Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Well Creation Show. Welcome to everybody on TikTok. I'm live on TikTok here and also across our other social media platforms. So hopefully you can join us. If you have any questions, jump in. We'll try and answer them as we go through talking about reading your way to success. Now, I picked this topic today, Jim, because it's something that I kind of struggle with, and you always push me, and you're a big advocate of reading and really building your knowledge and continually reading books about certain topics by certain people and things. And I'm quite guilty of starting a book and never finishing it, or disciplining myself to actually sit down and read. Although I do schedule in time to do it, I don't. I let things, and it's all about habit stacking and things as well, and being very disciplined. If you feel that you do struggle to read, but it is so important as part of your own journey and achieving your own success, but just really building that knowledge within yourself and learning from others, and we're going to break it down a lot today as well. But I mean, Jim, how important is reading?
Oh, Einstein actually said you will be in the next 5 years by the books you read and the people you associate with.
Yeah,
that's it in a nutshell. So are you associating with the right people, the right peer group round about you, influencing you, and what books are you actually reading to change your thinking and program your mind? Because that's effectively what it is. I was listening to a scientist this morning, a brain scientist, talk about the hippocampus and how in 1960 her teacher actually at one of the universities in America had actually proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the brain could actually be flexible in its approach, and it can actually grow over a period of time. This is all about avoiding dementia. This is what this was all about, that podcast this morning. And in actual fact, and it can be through exercise and also through reading and learning. Continuous learning is vital to everything. Now, but continuous learning could be, just for your well-being, your health, and all the rest of it, and your mental welfare, and your brain developing, and make sure that it's actually you're not going to get Alzheimer's, because you by doing these sort of things, you can actually decrease your chance of getting Alzheimer's or dementia by 30%. 30% decrease.
A lot of people just think it's hereditary, these types of things like Alzheimer's.
It's not.
But you can do things, like you say, it's like a brain exercises, and reading is one of those things.
It's not. It's one of the most important things. But for me personally, it is things like, and I can go through some of the books I've actually got. I mean, I've read probably well into hundreds of books over the years. But some of the books that, you probably, you won't know about, I've been reading, is James Watt, Business for Punks, founder of Brewdog. You could disagree with his politics and how he's built Brewdog, but it was a meteoric success over a period of time, and employs so many people and makes so much money for these investors. There's got to be something you could learn in here about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So for me personally, that's a really good one for me. One of the first ones I actually read, How to Win Customers and Keep Them for Life.
See, Jim, you've gave me so many good book reviews over the years.
It's one of the Bibles, revisited. I'll tell you one that we talked about. I showed you a video this morning, and I actually have it right here. Is Frank Dick Winning?
Yeah,
one of the ones I saw this morning. It's not about winning against other people. It's about winning against yourself. How good can you be today to better you for tomorrow? What gift are you going to give yourself today for tomorrow? In 5 years' time, what am I going to give Jim in 5 years' time? I'm going to do today to benefit Jim in 5 years from now. That's the key here. It's not about beating someone. It's not about someone has to lose for you to win. It's about everybody can win in their own capacity, but the only person you should be competing against is you. And that's what this type of reading actually helps you. By the way, everybody who's been successful at some point in time knows that what Frank Dick talks about in here is the right course of action for everybody. How to start a conversation, make friends. One thing I really struggled from in the very beginning, because I'm a complete introvert in how I think about things. And I was 35 years ago, all because of circumstances, we'll not go into that. It's all documented in the first 50 episodes anyway. But how to start a conversation and make friends is really important. So if you have serious anxiety and all the rest of it, this is probably a really good book for you to read, which is one of the ones I first read in the beginning. John C. Maxwell, a lot of people know him. Dare to dream.
Dare to dream, yeah.
People don't dare to dream because they're afraid that they'll not get it and it'll make them feel worse about it. I had somebody this morning actually castigate me because I'm trying to organise a running event at Glastonbury again. There's going to be about 500 people at this event. And somebody actually decided to come on and said something about, do you not think you're putting all these strain and resources on the medical services as it is? And I went, all right, okay. So we've done this for 3 years and not one person has actually injured themselves. So what sort of strain and resources are we putting on? He says, besides, eventually we got to conversation. He says, besides, Glastonbury's for drugs and music festival and drink. I went, all right, okay. So maybe you should refer back to your original comment about the fact that you're putting all the strain and resources on the resources in the medical services. Definitely. Maybe you should take a dose of your own medicine then, if that's the case. See how some people do not want you to elevate yourself because it highlights the deficiencies in what they do. Yeah. So when you come up with a book like this and start reading it about Dare to Dream, you will often get a backlash from people that you trust the most. It could be your partner, because they're afraid that you'll change. They don't want you to change because they like you just the way you are. But these type of books are going to change your thinking. And if you've not got what you want right now, you need to change your thinking.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting how you point out that even from your own experience, like you say about the book about obviously how to start conversations and things, because you were quite introvert and not very willing to put yourself out there and in uncomfortable situations, how you read that and adapted your knowledge and made you realize that this is what I need to do and this is how I'm going to do it. And likewise,
but it's also applying it. There's no point in reading a book just for the sake of reading it. I tell you what, if you continue to read it all the time, you'll get the message eventually and you'll start to apply some of that knowledge and information. So don't despair. This is all about preparation for you in the very beginning in order to prepare yourself for an opportunity that will appear in the future. And that's where you have to have faith and that opportunity will appear. And that's where these books will actually begin to make you realize, based on other people's success and what they've done before you, actually how that actually happens. Another great one, if you know, Drucker. You know, this is the guy at business, Peter Drucker. Innovation and entrepreneurship. This is a masterclass Bible for that. One of the most fundamental things for me in the very beginning. Business Accounting, Volume 1. Who would have thought? Business accounting. You know, this is what set me free. Understanding a balance sheet and understanding a P&L is probably one of the most important things you can do if you're self-employed or if you're thinking about running, or if you're running a business right now. If you don't understand your numbers, you're completely goosed. You don't know where you're going if that's the case. That's key here. Interesting one, controversial. Jordan Peterson. 12 Rules for Life.
Yeah.
Really good book, really good read. Understand him completely. Some of the things you might not agree with him at all, but he makes absolute sense in these different things. Les Brown, famous DJ in America, famous, you know, on the radio and stuff like that. Brilliant motivational speaker as well. Les Brown, married to Gloria Gaynor, I think it was.
Oh, really?
You know, or Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight, that was it. He was married to Gladys Knight. So, you know, Les Brown was absolutely fantastic. And Les Brown actually started in the very beginning, how he started his journey and how he got in the door to be where he is today. That is a really good story. Now, it's the stories that will help you set yourself free. It's learning from other people more successful than you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's the most important thing. It's the most important habit you'll ever develop.
And this is what, obviously, and I can't remember, we spoke about this, I don't know if it was last week or the week previous, but we spoke about the importance of reading and having that and having that habit of and committing yourself and being disciplined to reading things. And obviously I struggle with it a wee bit and I do read and I stop and start and things. But actually, speaking of habits, I've went back to Atomic Habits. And I thought, let's kill two birds with one stone and read. And obviously,
so I'll give you a wee clue here about me. I don't struggle to read. And yet there's days I miss reading.
Yeah.
There's days I don't read. But I don't struggle to read. Because I'm instantly telling myself, if I say I'm going to struggle to read, guess what I'm going to get? I'm going to struggle to read.
It's going to fall by the wayside, yeah.
So I always tell myself I don't struggle. I don't struggle to read. because I'm programming my mind. Whatever you put into this is whatever you'll get out. If you think negative thoughts, you'll get negative thoughts or negative processes back out. If you think positive thoughts and put that in, and this isn't Pollyanna stuff and rose-tinted glasses and all the rest of that crap. It's like, this is fact. It's scientific fact.
Yeah.
As a man thinketh, so he become.
Yeah, it's not like people might think, oh, that's just like affirmations and things. And it is kind of like that, but it's really instilling in yourself how you actually, because how you feel and how you talk about yourself will ultimately be how you'll act and carry things out. Yeah.
Look at some examples in the world right now. Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
You think Elon Musk says to himself, oh, I didn't think I'll be able to go into space. I don't think I'll be able to go to Mars. I don't think I'll be able to put a space rocket. Do you think he would have ever succeeded if he had thought like that?
No.
How do you think Putin thinks just now? That's an interesting one.
So that would be a scary mind to be in.
Yeah, but in his mind, he thinks it's completely logical and justified what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Everybody thinks they're right.
Yeah,
and everybody's convinced from their point of view that they're right. And the world is all about arguing with someone else to say that they're wrong in terms of how they look at it. But if you can find out how other people look at the world and understand how to speak their language, you can influence and change them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what How to Win Friends and Influence People is all about, by Dale Carnegie. It's all about seeing something from somebody else's point of view. You don't necessarily need to agree with them. You can say, well, I can't disagree with that. You're not agreeing with them, but you're not disagreeing with them. Well, I can't disagree with the way you're thinking. I would see it like this a wee bit.
No, everyone's got their own perspective.
That's a skillful tactic. You can learn over time in order how to do that. One of the things you've got to think about, though, is really the magic of thinking big in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about thinking big. It's thinking bigger than you are. Now, I'll take you back to when I said I'm going to buy 20 properties.
Yeah.
And what did I say just after that, about a week later?
I'll buy 50 properties.
Yeah. I'm thinking too small. I'm going to buy 50 properties.
Yeah.
Do you actually think I would have bought the 50 properties, Richard, that I've got now, the extra 50 properties in the last 2 years, if I just thought to myself, I'm only going to buy 20?
No, because I think you would have in your mind, the 20 would have been the goal. And once you'd reached that, it would have been, that's it then, kind of.
Exactly.
You would have been a wee bit more reserved to keep going.
So I set myself, I eat my own cooking. Yeah. If I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it. I'm not one of these people that tell everybody else what to do and don't do it myself. I walk the walk at the same time as actually saying I'm going to be doing it, or I've walked the walk before, and I know it actually works for that reason. And I pin my colours to the mast. So if I say I'm going to buy 50 properties, yeah, I might get to 30, I might get to 40, but I'll certainly a lot more than 20. But I got to 50.
You did get to 50, though, yeah.
But I would never have seen that opportunity, and I probably would have never have stayed the course if I hadn't done that. But do you know where I got that information and how to think like that? This is the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. This is what programmed it. Do you know I got this book when telephone numbers, the code was 033. There was no 1 in it. It's actually on the back down
I don't
here.
even remember that.
Yeah, there's no 1 in it. That's how long I've had that book. And I even have Kanachi Crescent and Methyl, which is years ago, years ago, probably early 90s, early 90s, late 80s, at Kanachi Crescent. That's how long I've had that book, and how many times have I read that? It is literally, see, I've got the bookmarks in corner down the bottom. That means that's an important page to read again, because there must be something fundamental on here,
right.
In this book itself. This was before I started actually taking a marker pen and highlighting bits, because I was always led to believe that a book was meant to be precious. It was meant to be preserved. It was meant to be, wait a minute, whoa. A book is meant to be chewed up. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be highlighted. It's meant to be scribbled in notes in the corner. It's meant to be learned from. That's what a book is meant to be. But at school, I wasn't taught that. I was taught about, you've got to look after this book. It's precious. You've got to put a cover over it. Well, that was just so they could use the book for someone else. I probably would have learned a lot more at school if I've been encouraged to, this is your book and this is what you have, and you take that with you for the rest of your life. This is, imagine that. Yeah. Imagine if all the children out there got the books to take with them for the rest of their life. and have that as part of their library, as part of their growing up, as part of their learning, where would all these children be now? Where would these generations be now? Because these books will remind them every single day about the interaction they've had, and there'll be great references for them to go back and look at and actually learn from as a result of that. So these are all the key fundamental books that you should learn from. I mean, even my business accounting book, the pages are actually falling out now. That's how much I read that. I think I did this 3 times in a row when I did business accounting to make sure I was the best at accounting, and I did pass with a distinction, and I was the top student as a result. No surprise then, because I learned it back to front 3 times, and I did every single exercise in the book to make sure I had it and set into my brain.
Yeah.
Mastery is the key here. If you become a master at what you do, and you understand it completely, and you're able to implement it, you become the best at what you do. Now, who earns the most money in this world? It's the people that are the top 1% in what they do, whatever it is they do. So all you need to find out is what you can master and become the top 1% in that field, and you will be successful and wealthy as a natural result of that, because you are the best in that field for that whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you studied and trained and qualified as an accountant, Jim, and I by no means I'm an accountant, but I done business management, and there was an element of accounting in that, like you say, balance sheets and things as well. And I don't know, do you remember giving me this book?
Possibly, yep.
Because it did help me pass that, because I was the account side of it and everything and it was trying to make sense of it. And I remember you gave me that, and obviously I still got it completely. And that did help me through.
So all that information, all that knowledge is there, and it improves your. I tell you what, as well, it actually improves your communication skills.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I was told this when I first started accounts. I was told by the Financial Times, read a good quality newspaper. Actually, you'll get to learn a lot from them. And I was like, God, I really need to do that, because I wasn't reading at that time. But the day I'd left school, and the day I'd dragged myself through The Hobbit and Of Mice and Men by Steinbeck, was the day that I said, I'll never read another book in my life ever again. It wouldn't be, if I didn't do that, it wouldn't be too soon. And that's how I left school. I hated it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I can get to love it if it set me free.
Yeah.
I can get to love anything that's going to set me free and build my dreams and actually get what I want in life.
I think it's important, like you said, that it does improve communication and obviously building knowledge and things, but it's being able to fully understand and making that connection with reading and ultimately your own success, and like you say, setting yourself free. Because a lot of people think, how is reading a book going to help me be successful and have more income and be financially free and settled?
Yeah, here's quite a good one, actually. When a lot of people come to me and say, who does your marketing? Who does all your write-ups and everything like that? Who does all your articles, and who puts all these together? Who does these sort of things? And it's like, well, I do most of it. We have content writers for some of our stuff, but we do most of it ourselves in-house, because all these books have actually taught me how to write these properly and how to put everything together and how to grammatically word everything. So it's easy for me to do that, and our schedules are all done by us as well. For that very reason. So it's not difficult once you understand how to do it. It's like doing a jigsaw constantly, and then over a period of time, then it gets so easy to do that you just look at it and you think, I know where everything goes straight away.
It just becomes second nature to be able to do it. Yeah,
it's second nature. And everybody goes, you must just be naturally gifted. No, I'm not. I'm not naturally gifted in anything. I'm not naturally gifted in anything at all. Everything I've learned is from books and other people far more successful than me. And I've just put it together to become what I am today and what I've achieved so far. But there's by no means, if I say I'm ever there, it's just a journey, and there's better things to come, I suppose. And
you talk about successful people, and just before we move on, I'd put a couple of facts in here, which I took offline, and if anybody wants to question if they're factual or not, I did take them offline, and it was just about successful people who read all the time. And it says here that Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading.
Absolutely.
Bill Gates reads 50 books a year, and Mark Zuckerberg reads at least one book every other week.
Yeah. Now, why is that? because they have to be masters in their field and they have to understand. So when I went away to Blair Athol for the weekend, I went completely on my own. I communicated and spoke to no one, and all I did was sit in the sun and read. I read loads of articles about the property market. I read loads of articles about principles of business. I read loads of articles about principles of investing. I then read quite a substantial bit of Finding My Virginity, which is Richard Branson's book. I'm nearly finished that now, actually, for the third time, I think it is. I'm actually reading it. So that's what I learned. And when I came back, I thought, oh, I've got, I know exactly what I'm doing. It's not actually about having and finding new ideas. It's about honing and developing what you've got already and making it better and packaging it, presenting it in a better format.
Yeah, just kind of maybe taking that time, recalibrate, build your knowledge, and think about what the next steps are and the right way to do that. Yeah.
Look at a really great one. Imagine putting Red Bull in a normal Coca-Cola tin. Yeah, see, look at your face straight away. Oh my God. It's like that would look weird. It's like, see that? See how that's important?
Yeah.
How that's important to somebody, because you've established that that's exactly what their brand presence is, their brand thing. Now, would you have got that doing it yourself? No, they learned from experts like Rory Sutherland, from a fantastic marketing guru, which I've read his book as well, called Alchemy on marketing. And it's like masterclass in marketing strategies and how to market rather than advertise to people, and how to build brand presence as a result of you, and how to become the only kid on the block and disrupt people at the same time. That's what reading does for you. That's what reading, and I tell you what, it will accelerate your career as well. There's no doubt about it. I'll guarantee you, reading all the right books and all the right content and information in terms of what you want to do in every different field and listen to the right podcasts will accelerate your knowledge and expertise and your understanding, your creativity and your communication skills and your knowledge way beyond where you are right now in your job. And you'll set yourself up clearly for another position, which is extremely higher, and it'll almost be like a leap from the in-between job that you were going to take to get the stepping stone to get to the next job. No. In your career, you'll probably leap that. You'll do a leapfrog, and you'll do that. And I did that personally. I jumped to another job, which was a financial controller, company car, and doubled my salary overnight. All because I read from Tillis Russell. From the point of Tillis Russell going in to where I was, the 2 years, and then another 3 years there, and then all of a sudden it's like I was ripe and ready to take that leap to way over, this, never mind the stepping stones. This was like jumping, about 3 stepping stones you would have got to get there in your normal career. But this was all down to reading my way to success. This is what we talk about. So there's no doubt about it. Every single person like Buffett, Gates, Zuckerberg, Branson, Robbins, all these different people, they all read every single time and expand their knowledge and expertise in every single week, no matter what field it is. And I'm talking about environmental impact. I'm talking about the art of war. I'm talking about meditation techniques, all these different things that you could read about, which will help you, but you will be able to help other people. And it's your ability to help other people which will rise, which will allow your success to rise as a natural result. It's not you. It's not about you helping yourself. It's about you helping everyone else. And you will begin to realize that's what every single successful person's done in life. It's the Frank Dick approach. It's actually you working on you, but it benefits everybody else as a natural result of that. And relationships as well.
When you say that, when you say it like that out loud and think about it, that makes total sense, because the better you are able to help other people in any situation, and the more that you're known for being knowledgeable and able to help people will naturally gravitate towards you, which ultimately, whatever field you're in, will help make you successful.
I would completely agree with that.
Yeah,
definitely. And you are the go-to person for that particular field, because everybody begins to realize that, because you're the specialist in that area. So whenever you mention property investment or being a landlord, they go, Jim.
Yeah.
Every single time. Whenever they mention about, disruptor or a state agency or video walkthroughs or anything like that,
Jim.
Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you want to be. You want to be the first person that's going to be thought about every single time. But then that's as a natural byproduct of what you've done and what you've learned over these years.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, it's not the overnight success thing. It's taken me, 57 years so far to get where I am. But I tell you what, though, I'll get there a lot quicker, wherever there is, to be honest. I don't know where there is. But it will certainly be a lot quicker later on. Because what happens is your knowledge and expertise and the information you've learned over these years, instead of actually taking a month to get somewhere when you're later on in your life, you've compounded all that information so quickly that you could do what it took you a month when you were younger in probably a day, because you now know what to do.
Yeah.
This is why people employ graduates to go into their program with degrees that have got nothing to do with what they're doing. Because it's the learning capacity and the capability that this person has is what they're after. Because they now know that this person could learn quicker than another person who's maybe wanting to get into that field, but they're not actually that knowledgeable in terms of learning capability.
Yeah,
That's
so
why
they've already demonstrated that they've got the ability to learn and pick things up because they've already qualified maybe in something different. But because they've been able to do that, then they'll be able to turn their hand to whatever the task is for them.
And this is what reading actually does for the individual, for that person. You'll never convince everybody to read, and to read the right books. But if it's going to set you free and it's going to get you to your destination quicker, or wherever that destination is, if you want that fancy car, if you want that bigger house, if you want that luxury holiday in Cancun or Mauritius or where are we going? Phuket, wherever. Phuket, somewhere in Thailand, I think. I saw it in a film the other night, and I went, "Oh, we could go there." And I quickly looked it up as I do, and I went, "Yeah, we'll do that next February then."
Yeah,
just like that. But that's how what reading's done for me. That's what reading's allowed me to do, because it's allowed me to earn the money in order to be able to do that. It's allowed me to acquire the knowledge to earn the money to be able to do that as well. That's what learning's all about. And to sit there and say it's no fair. It's no fair I've not got this and you've got that. And some people will go their whole life doing that. But then you've got to think to yourself, have you ever picked up a book and read it?
I know.
And the answer to that's probably no. Have you ever gone to further education? The answer to that's probably no.
Yeah.
Have you ever phoned people up, cold call them, and actually says, I've got opportunity for you? Have you ever spoken to other people? Have you ever gone to business network meetings and everything? Have you ever gone to, investor workshops and everything? No. Well, so how do you expect to be successful then? How do you expect to be successful in that field if you've never done any of that stuff?
Yeah, and this is the things that we talk about when we do one-to-ones and things, and about obviously implementing these kind of things, and that's where the topic for today came around about reading to success. And
this is primarily why I know that most politicians don't have a clue what they're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know the person that knows the clue that they're talking about is the people that put the script in front of them.
Yeah.
They just read it. They actually don't have a clue what they're talking about. Do you honestly think if somebody's never been in housing as a politician for years and years and years, and suddenly they're put in charge as a junior minister or a senior minister for housing, all of a sudden, overnight, they become an expert in that field, yet they talk about it as if they are? They're not.
They're not, yeah.
It's the civil servants behind them that have put the script together and advise them what they should be doing that are running the country. It's not the politicians.
Yeah.
And it's also the business people that give them that advice. So whatever their peer group is they've got round about them is the people that influence them what to do. This is why we have a gripe with the Conservative Party and the fact that it's no fair. They just line their own pockets because they're speaking to the people round about them and actually telling them what they should be doing. And it's the same with the Labour Party, the same with the SNP, same with the Greens, same with the Liberals. All they're doing is learning from the other people that are actually successful in these fields, and they're advising them what they should be doing. And that's what's lining their pockets, because it's exactly what they want them to do to line their pockets. And they all don't know any different, so that's why they just think we'll do that then.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they give them political donations as well, to influence them, to get on the board, to be able to influence them. That's why it's not really about what you know, it's about who you know. This is why when a politician comes out of politics and all of a sudden they're on every single board.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now, George Osborne was meant to be the next Prime Minister after David Cameron. And I was reading that this morning. George Osborne was meant to be, and then Brexit came along, and obviously George Osborne plans. And then the next minute he was the editor of the Evening Standard.
Because he knew all the right people.
What does George Osborne know about being an editor? He's a politician.
Yeah. So
it's a lot to do with who you know as well. But you get to know the people by the people you're associating with. See the Einstein and the books you're reading because you're associating with them. So so there's a connection made there. So when you start to read these books and all the rest of it, you get more positive about things. You get more mindful about things. You get more knowledgeable and expertise, and you get more. It's easier to put things together, articles together, and it's easier to string words together in proper grammatical sense. And then you start to attract the attention of other people like you. And guess who that is?
People, yeah.
It's the other people that are just as successful, if not more. And then once you get their attention, you're on now to a different playing field. And once you start playing with people that are bigger than you, they bring your success. Remember, I shared that thing at the weekend.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, where on Diary of a CEO, where she said, if you sit next to someone else that's successful in your office, you're more than likely to be 20% more successful than you would have been. However, if you sit next to someone else in your office who is unsuccessful at what they do, you're more than likely to be unsuccessful by almost 100%.
Yeah, and because the distractions and everything that will come with that from your own path and your own success will just be totally taken away.
So see how we've got navigated the fact of reading, how that's taken us on our trail, which is nothing to do. You'd think we're reading, but it's everything to do with reading. It's everything to do with reading. Because if you're in a conversation with someone, say you're invited to a business network meeting, and then somebody strikes up a conversation about, maybe sales and how you do that, or maybe property investing, or maybe someone in psychology that starts to talk about psychology, you now know what they're talking about because you've read some books on it. Now, you're not necessarily an expert, but you still can engage in that conversation because you've now got an insight into the basic core fundamentals about what that person's talking about. Therefore, you're accepted into that group of peers as a result of what you've done and the reading that you've done as well. And people then start to listen to you as well as a result. Whereas if you hadn't read any of these books at all, then no one would want to listen to you.
Yeah.
You're not invited to the party anymore because you're not knowledgeable in that area.
I say you don't fit in. You don't have the right. Yeah.
You can't add any value to what they're doing. So why would they invite you? Why do you think Richard Branson gets invited to so many different things? He's at a cultural, event for the world and all the rest of it. They're there now on his social media feed. With people are nothing. We would never even know these people, but he gets invited to them because that's his sort of thing. About and protecting and protecting the environment, bringing down the costs of aviation fuel, making it less harmful to the environment, using carbon composite in order to make it lighter for aircraft, so we can still maintain air travel, but we can do it in a cost-effective way to still deliver it to the masses, but actually have less of an environmental impact. Now, it's here to stay. We can't just stop flying in planes, let's be honest. So anybody get that out of their head right now that thinks that's the solution. It's not. It's not going to enhance our life. It's not going to keep everybody going. If you stop doing that, everybody's going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
It's a part of our society, but how can we make it more efficient? How can we make it so it's not a huge environmental impact on what we're doing? And possibly it's to the point where the benefits that we're doing far outweigh the negative stuff that we're doing. So it becomes a carbon plus every single time to us.
Yeah.
A classic example is when, let's look at it in this aspect. There comes a tipping point in your life where you'll probably never run out of money because you've invested wisely. And it's compounded to a point where the money the money you spend every year is less now than what the money that you actually make every year. Because there's no way when I started in the beginning, I was lucky. We survived on £1,000 a month. I couldn't go back to that.
No.
I couldn't go back to some people's full-time salary, and they're getting paid a lot of money. It's like, oh my God, that's like, I can't go back to that standard of living anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've got a different standard.
Crazy for you to say that, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's effectively it. It's you can't, because your lifestyle is now, it's not really through choice. I mean, you enjoy what you do, but it's not really for choice. It's the fact that you've now got into a peer group which actually has that lifestyle. You know, you have to pay to get around certain people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean pay them. I mean, you just have to pay. In other words, you have to travel. You have to travel to get around them, to get, you know, there, and then you have to be in certain places at certain time to get among these people as well. I have two great friends, David and Lee of Lomparni, which is an Italian fashion house. Now, David and Lee, you know, they go about with, you know, CeeLo Green and Macklemore and people like that, and they go to all the major parties, and it costs them an absolute arm and a leg. It's like, they make my spending look like sweetie money.
Yeah.
It's like, they look like I've got pocket money, whereas they're like, wow, you're what? Private jets? It's like, what? And it's like, and that just for me is a different stratosphere.
Level. Yeah, yeah.
But they have to be around Little Nas, or whatever his Lil Nas, or whatever his name is, and all that. They have to be around all these people because it's part of their brand. It's part of what they do, and they clothe these people as a result of what they're doing. So they have to attend all these parties and get rat-arsed. It's like, they didn't need to get rat-arsed, to be honest, but they are obviously enjoying themselves. But that's the lifestyle that they've
at the same time, obviously.
Yeah, that's the lifestyle they've got. Oh God, they're about drunk Necker Island dry. It's like one night, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I didn't even drink, and you've probably drunk enough for me, or more of me. But that's the lifestyle, and that's where they are right now, and that's the sort of people they go about with, and the circles they go about with as well. Now, for me, that would be hell on earth, to be honest, to be in that sort of environment. But to them, that's their business. That's what they do. Within Italian fashion, so they're two great guys, but it's the different standard they have to reach in order to do that.
Yeah, and obviously to be relatable and get the attention of these people at this level, they need to, like you say, they need to be on that level as well.
Yeah. Now they've been smart enough to actually work on their wits, you know, and be quite inventive and creative and understand and pivot in terms of what they're doing. But they don't read that much. But I think if they read, there is a few weaknesses in what they're doing, and I've actually discussed it with them on occasion when we were over on Necker, about where their strengths lie, and also where they need to strengthen and be better at what they're doing. And they acknowledge that. They know that full well that is the case. And I'll probably have the same conversation when we're out in November again and get back together again. Probably have the same conversation. I think I could have just played a blooming tape recorder from last time and just given you the same lecture, more or less. They're a couple of young guys. They were good fun. But I want to see them see them really successful at what they do. I've got no vested interest in them, by the way, and I make nothing out of them either, and I don't want anything from them. So what's driven me to help them? That, you know,
so where does that come from then?
Yeah, but some people, and this is what happens when you start reading all the right books. You understand it's not about you anymore. It's about what you can do for someone else, and how you can help someone else in their journey. And you'll help a lot of people, and a lot of people, nothing will come back of that. But some people will do business with you a lot.
Do you know, one of the things
that is, it's not for that reason I'm doing it. It's just because I like the guys and I want to see them successful. And I thought, if I can give you some tips and hints and what you should be doing, how you should be honing and developing that, just to get a bit more traction, then by all means I'll do that.
It kind of falls into one of the things I was going to ask you today, and it was about empathy and how, you know, just reading about different people, and their different adversities and things help you really understand and better focus your empathy towards other people and how you are towards other people, and then likewise how that runs through into your career and how you conduct yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you've got that headers written down there. The six benefits of reading.
Yeah.
And definitely, I think you're absolutely right. It does foster empathy, because then you're reading other people's stories.
Yeah.
So even though you've not got and hard luck stories, people have gone through horrific things, and you develop empathy as a result of that, because you understand. So when somebody else goes through that, you can have empathy with how they're feeling, and you can relate to them for that reason. And that's why people, like attracts like. If you're a complete pothead and a neckhead, then you're going to attract people that are potheads and neckheads. That's it. So good luck. That's the people you've got round about you right now. If you're an alcoholic, you're going to attract more alcoholics round about you, more than likely, because that's the circle you're in as a natural result. And you'll not think you're an alcoholic. You just think you're all going out to have a great time, but try stopping it for a wee while. And then you'll find out you can't, because you'll tell yourself some shite story about the fact that I can stop anytime I want, I just choose not to. It's like that's what people will tell themselves. I can stop anytime I want, I just choose I don't want to. I don't want to stop. Well, stop for a week and see how you get on there. Prove it to yourself. And then most people won't be able to stop.
Right, and people will find it difficult, yeah. And then that's when you start to question, right, okay, why?
That means you've exactly got a poor relationship with alcohol. Definitely. It's the same with cigarettes. It's the same with drugs. It's the same with cigarettes and alcohol are drugs. They're just legalized. That's all. It's the same with everything. It's the same with gambling. It's the same with addictive sex. Where you've got these people that are, I'm addicted to sex. No. It's no addicted to sex. You've got an underlying border personality there, disorder, which you have to resolve in order to get that. Now, how on earth would I know about that? Reading. I learned about it from psychologists, some of the best clinical psychologists in the world, to understand that. That is what makes the fundamental difference in terms of your empathy for other people, to understand their behavior.
Yeah.
Drug addicts, for example. Do you know why people are hooked on drugs?
To block out the real problem that they're experiencing?
Yeah, close. It's lack of connection.
Right, okay.
They have no one else. If you look at most people that have an underlying border drugs problem, you usually typically find it's because they've got no social connection with other people.
Right, okay.
That's why they're on the street. That's why you can't just put them in a house, because they've still not got the social connection.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If they had, or if that's the case, if the drug was the problem, then why is everybody that goes in for an operation not addicted to drugs then? Because we're all given that as well.
Yeah.
You're given the same drug as a drug addict's taken when you go for an operation. So why are you not immediately addicted to it when you come out of hospital? Because it's not a habit. It's not programmed into your mind. You've got social connection and doing other things. So you're not bored. So therefore, you're not looking for something to escape from. And
you're not looking to go
you are right now.
That, yeah.
Yes. Now, a bit of personal experience, probably I could sympathise with people because of that, because I used alcohol probably in the same way. This is why people say I've got to have a couple of drinks before I get up for a dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound familiar? I was that person.
It's funny, my brother's getting married soon, and I have to do I'm his best man. And I'm thinking, God, should I have a couple of drinks before I do it or not?
There you go. See, there you go. There's because people think it's going to take the edge off them. You're absolutely right. It does. But if you have the edge, it gives you a competitive advantage in what you're doing, because it comes across as more sincere. It also comes across as excitement.
Yeah.
And people love you for that. And you're in the moment, and see the buzz you get from that is way beyond anything you'll get from any drug that's manufactured.
Yeah.
It's like the buzz you get from doing that and feeling the fear, and the energy that you get from that as a result as well is mind-blowing. It's also beneficial for your long-term brain health.
Yeah.
For that reason. So empathy. Also, you know, we talked about expanding vocabulary. Vocabulary is definitely a really good one.
Vocabulary is an interesting one, and it's funny. TikTok, I've got a message saying that they love the accent, and I do fall back into it quite often, and you'll hear that when I'm speaking. But I can't speak quite without the accent, but I do fall back into it. But reading and expanding your knowledge on words and how you deliver yourself and your voice and the speech that you use, I do believe, although I'm not such an avid reader to be able to say, yes, it does help me that way because I've not read enough really in my own right. But I'm sure you'll agree, Jim, that reading over the years has helped you probably pronunciate and use better words and speak a lot clearer. Yeah.
Of course. It allows structure and style, and also learning from people. So here's the first one. If you want to go, I hear excited already. When I'm talking really fast, I feel excited, don't I? And it elevates, and then I could talk exactly how I want to. But you feel like I'm actually making a point and actually teaching.
Yeah.
When I'm doing that, and then you can go up, and then you can come down as a result of what you're doing in your conversation. And it keeps people engaged in the whole conversation overall. But you can only learn that through vocabulary and how to do that. And then how to do your soft, your warrior.
Mm-hmm.
There's the full warrior. You see the ballot box, when they're at the Prime Minister questions, you see them coming up with that. That's the sword, that's the warrior. Mm-hmm. There's the half warrior. As a result of what they're doing, the half warrior, just a half. And there's the full warrior when they're making a point. This is what I'm telling you, but not to finger wag in front of people, but just to use it like that temporarily. Here's the open, when they're open gesture. In other words, I'm prepared to receive. I'm open to people. So these are all the things that you can learn. And that definitely goes on to have the right structure, the right style, and the delivery methods and how you do it as well. It also inspires what you had said is the third one, which is the creativity in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like you said, it gives you that ability to not just stick to the norm and think outside the box and be quite creative in how you approach things and how you think about things and looking at things from a different angle rather than just with the blinkers on, because you've expanded your mind and your knowledge through reading books and learning how other people have done things in the past.
Here's a great one. How do you get everybody to listen to what you're about to say and to lean into what you're about to say? And it's so simple. You either start with a fact, which is really important. In other words, do you know there's more people born every single year than there has died in all our lifetime?
But
you didn't know that.
That's really interesting.
That's when somebody leans into the conversation and go, wait a minute, this guy knows what he's talking about. Or you can start with once upon a time.
Yeah, you've told me that before.
Once upon a time is a brilliant way to start something if you've got something to say after it, because once upon a time is programmed unconditionally into our minds from birth. That's the first thing you do. Your parents did it when once upon a time. Everything Disney did it once upon a time. Snow White, Seven Dwarfs, all the rest of it. We're all taught to stop and listen as soon as you say once upon a time. It's hardwired into us because we love stories. The human psyche works on stories. And the more stories you read, the more you can impart to people as a result, and they will listen to you and what you're about to say for that reason.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely. What about to lessen stress through reading and to kind of escape? I mean, I know, Jim, through your own journey, you've had times when you've been going through stressful times and things. Do you think that reading helped you kind of that?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Times every day.
So that's what I mean. That escapism. That
every day.
Stress.
It's like, but I put it on myself, and I know that I'm more than. So the one thing, the things that I love. I mean, some people read Mills and Boon love stories and all the rest of it. Lady Chatterley's Lover and everything like that, and that's their escapism. And that, definitely that lesses stress, doesn't it? But then I like to read people's life stories. I mean, classic example is like Richard Branson's a good one. Business stripped bare. You know, I mean, what do you want to learn from people that are far more successful in their stories than the people that actually you want to think, okay, you know, how did that person get to there? Well, tell me all about your stories. Tell me all about, more importantly, tell me about all the shite experiences you had, which actually led you to where you are right now. I don't want to hear about what everybody else is hearing about. I want to hear from the horse's mouth about the struggles that you had and how you overcame them. I don't want to hear about the good times. I want to hear about the struggles, because I know your struggles I can learn from. Whether it's I avoid doing it because I know you've gone through it, so hey, you've proved it, I'm not going to do that. Or it's like, oh right, I know how to navigate this now because you've now proved how to get there quicker. Why do you think I talk about the financial freedom blueprint? You know, I follow all the time, and I've got, and I do that every single time. And how many people actually believe that financial freedom blueprint can get them to their financial freedom quicker? Very few.
Yeah, there's a lot of people skeptical about things.
Yeah, because they think that it can't be that easy. Oh, it can't be that easy to be financially free in 5 to 10 years. No way. It just can't be that easy. It's impossible. Well, it's impossible for you because you don't have belief in yourself. But it's certainly not impossible for me because I've done it. And all you need to do is what I did, and it will happen to you as well. Job done.
Yeah.
But people don't believe it's possible for them because of all the crap they've been told when they've been growing up. That's why you read books, to get that out of your head, to realize that you are not the person everybody else thinks you are. You are way beyond that. We're the only species on this planet that has the capability to think way beyond our realms and the creativity and imagination that we've got. We've developed that over time and thousands, millions of years of evolution. We've developed that as a species. The only thing we've got going for us is our brain and our imagination and our creativity. Other than that, apex predator is things like lions and tigers. You know, they don't think like us, but I tell you what, they can kill us quite easily.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine when we're born, we're relying completely on people to nurture us and develop us. Look at the animal kingdom. They pop out there and they're walking within a few minutes. And the next minute, it's like, fend for yourself.
It's fight or fly.
We don't do that. We're not a species that do that. So we have to rely on our brain and our creativity in terms of, in order to work out how to protect ourselves and how to grow bigger than we are and how to nurture our you know, the way we are to go forward. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about, acquiring the knowledge and information from people that have trodden that path before. We have the glorious we have we just have that opportunity to sit in that tree and bask in the shade of others that have come before us.
That's really true what you say, because there's so many people trodden the path before us and learn, and this is a lot of what the Wealth Creation Show was started for, by, do you know, as a mind, as thought up by you, because all of this knowledge and all of these things that you could learn from, rather than it being lost or not passed along or there for people to learn from and like you said, stand on the shoulders of others to propel themselves. And that's what reading other people's experiences in books is all about, and things like what we do in the Wealth Creation Show and talk about your journey and things as well, Jim. It's there for people to learn from and use that as something to propel them from that point, rather than having to learn that and make the mistakes themselves.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have actually, you know, kind of thought, how come you're the #1 estate agent again in Scotland? How is that possible? And how come you're still the #1 letting agent in Fife as well for all these years? And it's like, I think there's a lot to do with this book, The Virgin Way.
We've got The Virgin Way here. We
all read that at the time.
Yeah.
And we all learned from it as well. The Virgin Way by Richard Branson. It's like, it's one of the only business models in the world that actually delivers exemplary customer service every single time almost. You know, you've got to get the odd ones that will happen, but it's way beyond everybody else. When you read things like, you know, Jim Collins' Good to Great as well, And Better for Best, there's 2 books that Jim Collins has done, and he talks about some of the most successful businesses in the world and how they've gone on to meteoric success, and people in the same field as them have actually nosedived and disappeared. And why that? Where is the difference that happens? And this is really what the Virgin Way is all about.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what they've done. So this is and then you hear all these stories and you hear things like that, and you do learn. This is all about how to listen, learn, and lead as well. When he talks about that, when Richard Branson talks about that, but then when he talks about all the knowledge and experience and expertise, he also talks about the things that the next one you want to talk about is probably build perseverance.
Yeah.
You see all the failures, you hear about all the failures that these people have made. And that's what I said before about when you hear about other people's failures and they've still gone to meteoric success, then you think to yourself, well, my failure just now is just a product of the success I'm going to have later on. That's all. And all you need to do is, you just fail quite a lot of times, and then eventually you become extremely successful as a result of it. Who would have thought to teach you that in school? If you fail that many times, and automatically you become a success as a result of what you're doing because of your failure. Automatically you become a success because of your failure.
You never taught that.
Nobody's ever taught that.
No.
And yet every single successful business person, every single successful person has failed at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Show me a person that's never failed, and I'll show you a person that's done nothing throughout their life.
When you listen to successful people and their story always consists of the big failures that they had and or the multiple failures they had on their way to success. And they always say without those failures along the way, they would never be where they are.
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't be the person you are today without the failures. Whether it's in relationships, whether it's in business, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your family, whatever it is, whether it's in your community, anything that you've failed at as a result of it has brought you to where you are just now. Now, if you don't like where you are just now, then you got to do something about it. And this is how you'll break yourself free. Because everybody says, well, how am I going to do something about it? Because I don't know what to do. That's what it's all about reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts, having the right mentors as well, and attending the right events and functions and training, what you need to do. You have to start somewhere. A lot of this information I'll probably never use. But I tell you what, at some point in time, it'll pop back into my head when I need it 30 years later. And I think, that's what that was all about. That's what that was all about. I never realised that. I mean, there's a great one. If you're not first, you're last, Grant Cardone. Okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of Grant Cardone, but I tell you what, he's a great marketeer.
Oh, yeah,
he sells himself extremely well, and he comes across extremely well, and he comes across like he knows his stuff. How to dominate your market and beat your competition. Well, I don't want to beat my competition. I just want to dominate my market. I couldn't care less what the competition do. They might want to dominate as well. So what? But I don't need somebody else to fail in order for me to succeed. That's the key here.
Yeah, I've watched a few Grant stuff on YouTube and things, and obviously his approach is a wee bit different from everybody else. But he's really successful in what he does, and he's got his own way of doing that. And but he knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to put things into action and get things to work.
One of the most successful books I've read, or the best books I've read, it led me to make a 700% return on my investment and buy 6 properties in 2010 for £40,000, which I've still got all of them today.
Yeah.
And these 6 properties are probably worth about 3 times as much as what I bought them for. And I bought them for 40 grand in 2010. And this guy had 300 properties, and he lost a lot.
What's that, Andy Shaw?
Andy Shaw, money for nothing and property for free. He talks about a lot of strategies in there. He had 300 properties. He talks about a lot of strategies and how he got 300 properties. But I began to see some things that he was doing, I thought, in my opinion, was not the right thing to do. So I took all the good stuff that I knew would work for me, but I left the stuff that I thought, I'm not taking 1% out of my valuation every single year to live on. If your portfolio is worth 10 million, if your portfolio was worth 10 million, what you do is you refinance it. That's what his strategy was. And then then you live on the 100,000 that you would get for the year, and that becomes your salary. Whereas like, no. I'm like, let's do your side hustle, your normal day-to-day business, and that's what you live on. And your portfolio is left alone. You don't take any money with that. If you're putting money, if you're getting another 100,000, you put it back in to buy more property, and you build your wealth again from there, and you keep reinvesting it rather than taking it out, because you're chopping down a tree that bears a fruit there, or many fruit to come. Imagine that tree every single year and all the fruit it'll bear as a result of having that one tree, and every single year it'll bear that fruit. Imagine the property I bought at £15,000 has made me £100,000 in rent over the years.
Yeah.
And I bought it for 15 grand, and I bought a lot of them. Imagine today if you can do that, because that's what you'll do today. If you buy a property at £80,000 or £100,000, it will make you probably
20 years,
in the next 20 years, it'll probably make you about £300,000 in rent. About 4 times as much in rent. Plus the fact that it's not even got capital appreciation on it yet as well.
And that's where the time element comes into it, and being patient and waiting. Whereas a lot of people want this overnight success and money within a couple of years, and it's like, it's going to take time.
And Andy's book is no longer available. You can't get it anymore. He doesn't do it anymore. He does Bug-Free Mind. He went into something different because he lost everything. But that was a masterclass for me, and that got me a 700% return on investment in the first year I bought the property. And obviously
from that book,
I've got a huge amount. I've got an infinite return after that, because the money I brought out the property to buy more property is like, there's no money in these properties anymore really from my original money. Therefore, it's an infinite return what I'm getting.
Yeah.
So that's key.
Andy Shaw's story, I mean, you say he lost everything, Jim, but then he went on, he started again, went on and become successful again.
This is the thing about books, about if people are leaving clues about how they failed in something, for God's sake, learn how they failed in and don't do it.
Yeah.
Some people are determined though to try it again and see if it did fail. Honestly, there's some people out there that still do that. Even though I tell people, it's like, no, don't do that. This is what will happen. It's like, no, I'll go and do it. It's like, oh, well, that's what happened. Well, I'm not going to say I told you so, but it's like, I never say I told you so. It's like, well, you probably know that anyway. I didn't need to tell you.
Yeah.
So this is what the final one for you is. As I said, this is increases intelligence. You're gaining perspective and insight on different people's adversities, their lifestyles, their relationships, and everything that's led to that. It's beneficial not just for offering fostering empathy in terms of what it is, but also for increasing that financial and emotional intelligence.
Yeah, your intelligence. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think, and it's true, and it's like you've just demonstrated, Jim. The more people read, the more likely they're to be really well versed in that particular topic, whatever it may be. And when they read about a variety of topics, then the more likely they are to be kind of a little bit more well-rounded and have an expanded knowledge on several different things, which then makes you a lot better in an array of situations, really. And that would really help you in your business and in your personal endeavours, definitely. And I put a wee quote here at the end, and I think it's quite fair to say that reading is really probably one of the best investments you could make in yourself. And it's a habit. As you can see, I'm obviously back to Atomic Habits. It's a habit that will benefit you for the rest of your life if you could really indoctor that into you. So really, start reading your way to success.
All you need to do is get up every single day to yourself and say, if I read 20 minutes for the next, every day for the next 5 years, 20 minutes every single day of the right books. If you want to know the right books, then contact us. Of the right books for you, every single day, 20 minutes every single day, your income will double in the next 5 years. So whatever you're on now in your career, you will probably be on double that in the next 5 years as a result of you reading the right books 20 minutes every single day for the next 5 years. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it'll probably be even more.
I think that's a good way to leave that.
Absolutely.
Definitely a good way to leave that. Right. Thanks so much for all your insights, Jim, on the importance of reading. And thanks to everyone who's watching. If you're watching the reruns, you can still join in comments. We'll get back to them. If you want any advice on books to read, then as Jim says, happy to give recommendations. So you can drop us a message and ask us that, of course. And then we will see you next Monday, 12:30 as usual for the Wealth Creation Show.
Okay, bye-bye for now.
Bye, Jim.